These are your listener-supported radio stations, KPFA, KPFB Berkeley, KFCF in Fresno, and online at kpfa.org. It's time for About Health with guest host Joi Moore.
All right, good afternoon. This is Joi Moore. This is About Health, and Dr. Lenoir is out of the radio station for a couple of weeks, actually, so I'll be here this week and next week. Today, I'm so excited. We are going to talk about a subject that gets no play on the air. People don't even know what's going on. We're going to talk about Haiti, the outbreak of cholera, the lack of relief in health care after the devastation in Haiti in January. We have a wonderful guest with us in the studio, Dr. Kenya Numan. She's an OBGYN at Clinica de la Raza, a monument site in Pleasant Hill. Among other things, she's very busy, very smart, energetic activist, and we're happy and excited to have her here. As always, we're going to take your phone calls. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about Haiti and how we can help and make it better, and remember that it is going on. And, of course, we're also going to talk just for a few minutes a little bit about voting tomorrow. I'm going to remind everybody their civic duty, their responsibility. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're going to take your calls, too. All right. This is Joi Moore, and this is About Health. Now, today, originally I had planned to talk about domestic violence with Dr. Kenya Numan, but she's on her way to Haiti again, and we thought that this was such a timely topic, so pressing, and it needs to be aired. But we're going to focus on that today. Welcome, Dr. Numan.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
You hear on the news a couple of headlines that there is a cholera outbreak in Haiti. You may have heard a couple of times that the money that the Haitian people have been expecting has not arrived yet. There's a lot of bureaucracy and holdup and red tape, and people are still suffering, but really no in-depth and no follow-up. So I'm so glad you're here today. How many times have you been to Haiti? What did you see? What do you think is going on now and we need to know about?
Thank you, Joy. Thank you for having me. Yes, this will be our third trip to Haiti. We first went in April, and we went again in July, and we're going again at the end of this month. When we were there of course, after the earthquake, there was such disaster, such loss of life, and the whole entire country was damaged. It's as if in this country we took out, New York, L.A., San Francisco, Chicago, and how could we survive? Right. So when we got there in April, we saw death and destruction. We also saw a city in Port-au-Prince that had very little resources. People were trying to remove cinder blocks with pickaxes. There was no huge amount of equipment that we would normally see here in the United States. In fact, when you look at what happened in San Bruno when they had that devastating fire, it took them, 4 weeks to clean it up?
Clean up the whole thing, right.
In that one big area. And You're talking about people in Haiti that are not getting any kind of help. There are still bodies under the ground that are deteriorating. So now the other thing, we went back in July, and it was a little bit better. We were able to get in and out of the airport a lot easier, but there was still a lack of infrastructure. You had people now who had been in these tent compounds with the tarps falling down, and they were begging for water. They were begging for resources. You had areas of the cities where they didn't have running water. Where we stayed, we were like camping out. We had to bring our own water in. We didn't have running toilets. It was just like you out in no man's land. And so it was just very hard. We also, in July, got to tour a compound called Grace Village. Grace Village is a compound on 4 acres that's housing 27,000 Haitian citizens. And it's being run by Grace International Ministries. It's a religious organization. And they are trying to help the people who are in the area in a very poor section of Haiti. We expect to find similar things, but now that the cholera is there, and I have 2 team members already there, it's really bad because people don't have the water. They don't have basic stuff that we take for granted.
Yes. We talk about water and the importance of water on the show a lot. It's important that people understand that a lot of the relief that we think has been given to the Haitian people have not been received. And more than that, overall, this is a long-term rebuilding that needs to be done. A lot of people ask me, oh, well, why should we care about Haiti? You know, that's just another country. The United States is always going around trying to fix everybody. Well, Haiti in particular, United States has to take responsibility for, because we have messed with those people since the beginning of time because they had the gumption to be revolutionaries and to throw off the yokels of slavery. United States has punished them decade after decade after decade, and very few of us know about it or even support it unless you come from Haiti.
You know, sister, I cannot, say anything much better than what you have said. Haiti is our neighbor.
Yes.
And United States, France, and Canada has a hand in making Haiti what it is. When that NAFTA treaty came about, Haiti became from an independent country to a dependent country. They have to even ship in rice. So here we are, a country that's an hour and a half from Miami.
Yes.
Sitting in our neighborhood, and we are allowing this to happen. Why? Because there's one congressperson who is not willing to vote for this bill that would have released $987 million to help the people of Haiti. It's still sitting in the United States.
Who's this congressman's name?
Oh, God. Don't ask me. I forgot it.
You can't tell me? Okay, so we're going to have to so somebody out there is going to call in and tell us who this congressman is. I know you don't remember this. Oppenheimer. Okay, we'll come up with it. So I'm speaking with Dr. Kenya Numan. We're talking about Haiti, the fact that it hasn't been talked about in the news media, of course. I mean, that goes without saying. But also, we want to talk a little bit later about what we can do.
Exactly.
Because it's not just about complaining about what doesn't get done here on this show. We try to be activists, and Dr. Numan is on her way back to Haiti. We want to get calls from people who have been to Haiti, who have relatives in Haiti, who have suggestions on how we can help solve this dilemma of getting aid to people who desperately need it and who are dying every single day. And we're not getting any coverage of it, and I'm afraid that there was a big media push when it first happened, and all of that money is now caught in limbo somewhere, and you don't hear about Bill Clinton because he's out campaigning for the election to try to keep the Democrats in power or whatever. But we want you all to join us. I'm going to get the number from Mickey because I didn't write it down. You can call us at 510-848-4425. or 1-800-958-9008. If you want to join the conversation, if you have questions for Dr. Numan, or if you just want to talk about Haiti, the politics of it, I can't stress enough, even though a lot of my audience I know about there is aware of what's going on. We're sort of preaching to the choir, but I can't emphasize enough that unless we keep the Haitian people on our forethoughts, in our prayers, and do what we can, continue to send money, send resources down there, it's a shame. It's an hour and a half away from Miami, and they could have bulldozers there. They could get this cleaned up if they really wanted to. I know our government could do it if we wanted to, but there's politics involved in it, and we need to talk more about that. Dr. Numan?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, you brought up the thing, why is it happening? And, I'm a Muslim, and in Islam we say that God puts obstacles before us. And right now, when Haiti happened in January and it fell off the radar by May, now hopefully we'll get back on the radar because we still have to continue to push our congresspeople to act. We cannot just sit back and think it's going to happen by itself.
Right. And that is where you come in, the people. The power of the people is all important. We're always talking about that on this show as well. And to remind you that you have an opportunity to voice your opinions about the workings of this government and who you want to see lead and represent you. Reminder to everyone to call to vote. To turn in your absentee ballots. If you haven't mailed them yet, you have to take them in. To go to the polls tomorrow, ask for a paper vote if you're in an electronic voting district, because I can guarantee you there is going to be contention about the outcomes of some of these races. The Republicans are already telling everybody that they won, so if they do win, then we won't have to question it later. And so I'm saying be ready for that. So this is Joi Moore. This is About Health. We talked with Kenya Numan about Haiti and the cholera outbreak and what we can do to make it better and help the situation. We're going to take your phone calls after this short music break. All right, we're back. We are speaking with Kenya Numan. I've been pronouncing her last name wrong. I'm not going going to apologize. I just met the sister today. So we're talking about Haiti, the effort that we could make as a community to try to help speed things along and help bring the relief to the Haitian people who are still suffering terribly. I also want to give out a shout-out to the people in Indonesia who are suffering from tsunami, volcano, and earthquake. A lot of it, I'm sure, has to do with the greenhouse effect and global warming, and we're going to suffer. People are on this planet are going to suffer more and more. So we want you to join us in conversation here. If you have a comment, if you have a question, if you have an experience to relate, you can call us at 510-848-4425 or 1-800-958-9008. Let's take a phone call. Let's go to Norman in Marin. Welcome to About Health.
Hello. I was glad that you came on because we don't get much from Haiti. Actually, I was in Haiti with a group of people from Marin, the Marin Interfaith Task Force, and we left on January 7th. 5 days before the earthquake. And in our stay, we learned the history and the current conditions and the current political gymnastics. And so I really don't really want to add more, except that what I've been hearing is from the people who are trying to help Haiti are certainly true. My particular interest is that I have a painting in my house that I bought in Jacmel, which is, I hope you know that small city down on the coast, and it was bought in there was a big studio or an art warehouse where it actually wasn't a warehouse, it was a functioning studio with artists. The woman in charge died in the earthquake. She was an American from Vermont. But the artists are alive. I've been able to get the name of the artist who's on this painting, and the reason I'm really excited about that area is because the artist is one of the most talented people I have ever encountered. This painting just takes over my whole house and me. Do you know what's going on in Jacmel?